Hello and welcome to Spotlight Saline. My name is Hunter Staples and I'm joined with Mr. Nathan Bush and Mr. Zachary Plisko. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about the video production program at Saline High School. So first off, thank you for coming on this early morning. So the first thing I want to ask, there's like 3 different programs that you guys can have. There's the Video Production 1, Video Production 2, and then the more advanced, which is Video News Production, which involves SHS Today and Hornet Nation, which are the 2 live-to-tape broadcasts that we air every Friday in Saline High School. So, Mr. Bush, could you just give me a little bit of detail of how you would go to sign up for one of those classes, if you have any prerequisites or anything like that?
There isn't a prerequisite for video, ironically. A lot of kids don't realize that they could just come in and go right to video news production without Video 1 or any prerequisite of video. But it is helpful to have Video 1. You know, I prefer that if you've had a little bit of experience like you did. But at the same time, if you come from a different school, like Dexter or Chelsea or Manchester, maybe you don't have a video program, it's okay to come in and we kind of get the ball rolling at that point. But the consortium is designed for junior and senior level, typically.
So you said junior and senior level typically. Well, Zach is a sophomore this year. We also have had a few other students that were sophomores and started, and Zach is in SHS Today, which is one of the 2 shows that the video news production produces. So I'm just gonna, why would Zach be allowed in if he is still a sophomore?
Well, I said typically, but he's atypical, so. But no, so every year I look for kids in, I'll say the lower classes, like Video 1 or Video 2, that are really passionate. They tend to come into Video 1 maybe having some experience like you did from the middle school, and they're really interested in video. And so I will oftentimes, not every year, but I will oftentimes allow 1, maybe 2 sophomores, give them a special kind of pass to get into the class and talk to my boss and make sure that's okay. And we usually allow 1 or 2 sophomores into video news production every year.
Awesome.
And
So
Zach hit that.
Yeah, yeah. That's my next question. Is why do you, Zach, feel that you want to do the video news?
So basically, my sister Emily, she was big into video, and she was like getting all these awards, and she basically drew my inspiration for video. And so I figured, why not take Video 1, get the basics down, and then that's when Mr. Bush approached me about the idea of joining SHS Today. And my main focus for that at the time was, oh, maybe I'll be good at anchoring or something. And it just evolved into being a better editor, a lot more into anchoring. Like, that's my main thing, was anchoring. That really drew my interest. And so I felt like if video is something I'm good at, why not pursue it and take it a step further?
I've got a story about this guy if you want.
Sure. Okay.
So, you know, he said, this is when Mr. Bush approached me. Well, I approached him because I knew that he was into it when we had the, every year, Saline High School does a, what is it, not a raffle.
It's silent auction.
Silent auction, thank you. Yeah. So every year they do the silent auction. And this guy paid $20 to be a guest anchor on not only SHS Today, but also Hornet Nation. I threw that into the silent auction as a biddable thing. I didn't know if anybody would take us up on it, and of course this guy did. $20.
You know, it was worth it.
Yeah, so that went to charity, and Zach joined us on SHS Today for a guest spot, and Hornet Nation. And I was like, dang, he's pretty good for just throwing him in the chair in the hot seat and reading off a teleprompter for maybe the first time.
I remember that. That was, I mean, I know you did SHS Today like a couple hours before, but you just like walked in and just like,
he owned it.
This is what happens, and then you kind of left. So, So is it like typical for you to approach students to join the video news program, or do they sometimes go up and ask you for it?
Yeah, I've had it both ways. Typically, I will approach them, and because I think that it's not an overly publicized thing that a sophomore can take a junior senior level class. I've had students that I've approached and they go, I never knew I could take that. Yeah, I'm interested, but I didn't even know I could, so I was kind of waiting until my junior or senior year. But I have had some students approach me. I've said no before. Not everybody is ready for this level of video because it is intense. It's a lot of work. We don't get a lot of breaks in it, and it has to be right almost every time. We do make mistakes, obviously, but our mistakes have to be minimal because we show the public what we do every single day. So not every kid is ready for it. It takes a special type of student to be at that level young as a sophomore. But the right ones, the beauty of that is, for me personally, is that if I can bring in somebody in their sophomore year and maybe develop them over 2 or 3 years, by the time they leave this program as a senior, they have a ton of experience. I mean, I don't know if you realize how much experience you're going to have. If you pursue this in the future, you're going to have a leg up on the other people that you'll be in this industry with, because you've got so much experience at such a high level.
And then Zach, just as kind of a closing thing, is there any, like, going into the programs, either Video One or Video News Production, is there anything that you didn't expect to learn, or that you learned that you further progressed or something like that?
Well, I guess I could say when it comes to projects, you always have that basis to your story, like you got the interview and then you put on some B-roll or something. But what I've learned is to take that extra step and to always make it better in a way that satisfies you and that people can appreciate. And then also, I learned like many tools over the course of the past year or so, and just learning how to work with others, because since I'm the younger one, it can be tough sometimes to talk with the juniors and seniors. So working as a team is very important, and communicating with them, and maybe I gotta act like the older one sometimes. So yeah.
And I want to hit on that. You mentioned communication, and I think that's one of the biggest byproducts of this class is that learning to communicate. To do this. This is a skill. To be able to just sit here and talk to people and have a conversation. And I think the communication piece is one of the. It's not like a line in my syllabus that says you will learn, this and this. Obviously video cameras, editing, just telling news stories. But just working as a team, that these soft skills that are so important in our life, I think that's one of the biggest things that we get out of this program.
What I've learned is be creative would be my main thing, because I love bringing new ideas to the table, and what I like to do is be that different person and really evolve. So I say step out of your comfort zone and really try to change the way that the news is presented, and really to capture that audience and really bring in their attention. So
awesome.
That's good.
Yeah, mine's just be ready to step out of your comfort zone. I don't like talking to people. So
But you're doing a great job.
yeah, well, I know you guys, so when I have to go in a crowded event, having to ask random people for interviews, that's a little different. Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. It was actually a really good discussion. So, yep, that was our segment on the video news program. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Moving on to our next segment, we're going to keep the topic of film and media present, but just switch out the students. We hope you enjoy.
I've always been sort of into film, so when I was in 5th and 6th grade, my friends and I would make little movies outside and through our neighborhood. We called it Centennial Neighborhood Productions, and we would make little action short films with a lot of blood and gore, and we thought we were the coolest people and we were pros. We made a little website for it and all that, and that's what really kind of gave me a foundation for starting film. And combine that with my parents being screenwriters and just a general interest in it, it definitely helped me develop a passion for it. So I would make little intros for small YouTubers. I was in the Call of Duty community for a while, and eventually YouTubers would approach me asking if I could do like a $20 intro or like, you know, just a general project for them. I did a couple like top 10 countdown things for channels that did top 10s. Like Call of Duty team intros, just personal YouTubers who wanted some sort of graphic for their videos, just anything like that, really. Call of Duty community is crazy. So when I was in probably, yes, 5th and 6th grade still, I was super into Call of Duty, and I found out about these things called clans, which sounds super nerdy, but there were divisions of these clans. So there was the part that plays the game, like they'll trick shot, quick scope, all that nerdy stuff on Xbox. And then you have the editors and you have designers. And I started out as an editor, which was basically people would hit something called clips, where they would like get 5 kills in a row rapidly, and eventually edit those into a montage, which they would then put on their YouTube channel, and that's how the whole cycle started. And from there, I eventually got into motion graphics because editing those montages got me into After Effects and Sony Vegas, and just to like do the effects and stuff for them. And that led me to kind of exploring how to do text animations, just general everything about keyframing and After Effects, basically. And that pretty much launched me being really into motion design and motion graphics. My favorite COD editor is probably Nikki HD. She was probably the first prominent female gaming editor in the community. She came around, I think, 2014, mid-2014, and she blew everyone away. She was a professional visual effects designer, and she came in using 3ds Max, which no one used at the time. She had insane setups for rendering, and she would recreate Call of Duty maps and recreate all of the like clips that were sent into her into an incredibly dynamic video, and that basically destroyed all standards that were previously had for editing Call of Duty. Action Theory 2 is absolutely phenomenal. I don't even understand some of the dynamics that she did in the actual video. It's crazy. You know, I'm not really sure where I'm going to go in the future. I've always kind of had my heart set on directing film, because that's just always been an interest of mine, making movies, being like kind of just implementing your own vision for a film has always been a crazy idea of mine. But I've also been really interested in potentially doing visual effects, like matte painting, visual effects producing, just anything on the more of the 3D side of visual effects, because that's kind of what my main focus is now. I'm really into 3D motion graphics using softwares like Cinema 4D, Octane Render, 3ds Max, stuff like that. If you're looking to get into this field, you better start young. And if you don't start young, then you better be prepared to like try a lot. There's so much to learn about this industry. Like, I've been doing it for nearly 5 years now. I'm still so buried compared to what experts know. It's an incredibly dynamic field that changes so much. You really have to love it to do it properly and to like pursue it in a career field. So make sure it's something you truly love before you consider going into it.